So I've got another vlog for you. This is for one of my close friends who's requested this one. She probably doesn't really know that I do mainly running injuries. Anyway, we'll give it a go. It's rotator cuff. So, you know, for those of you that are struggling with a little bit of low-level shoulder problems, just to note, the rotator cuff muscles are the stabilising muscles of the shoulders. So a bit like the gluten effect and the sort of core muscles of the sort of hip and pelvis. They sort of help keep the shoulder in the right place in the socket. And if they're not working right, then the shoulder can tend to drift forward and drift up, and it impinges on the acromion. Or if the joint at the top of the shoulder, which is between the collarbone and the acromion, is tight and stiff, then the space becomes compromised, and the space is where some of your rotator cuff muscles come through, and that can also cause impingement. So obviously the first thing to do, especially for those working from home, is think about your posture. You know, what's going on. Are we sat doing this all day? You know, we need to actually sit up, shoulder blades back, get those scapular retractors working, just to open up the shoulder, get the shoulders working in the right place, so that the shoulder stabilizers can then work correctly. If you were all hunched in this position, then as soon as you lift the arm up, everything impinges and becomes a problem. So just sit and just do some shoulder rolls, and just take your shoulders back and just think about that posture a little bit. You can take that onto some little press ups on the wall into that position. You know, as you get stronger, you can take it down onto the kitchen worktop, and then you can finally do some press ups in the floor. But all about getting that shoulder stability and that scapular retraction, and just getting those shoulders to sit in the right place first of all. So that's just a sort of a basic first step, really, just to sort of start waking up our shoulders. If we have got a little bit of pain in the sort of rotator cuff, we tend to get it in when we lift our arm, or when we do rotation things. Classic thing, lifting the kettle or the pans, and what we want to do, we want to strengthen up our shoulders again and just make sure they're working as strong as we should. So let's have a quick look at some rotator cuff strength exercises. So I've got a little bit of band. Okay, so I want to just have my elbow by my side like that, and I want to just see, what am I like pulling the arm in? Not too bad that way, but if I then move over a bit, I can then, oh, you see, pull the arm out. See, that's much weaker on that side, nowhere near as good. And you know, and I have to really work hard to keep my shoulders back, keep everything in the right place, just to get some basic work done. So that's your sort of your first exercise. We can then start, as we get a little bit stronger, we can start standing up and taking that into a little bit more rotation. So we can actually just start going across the body that way, and across the body that way. Nice problem to have, bit of sunshine in the background. And you can start taking it through into sort of rotations like that, and coming across the body like this. Use a light resistance to start with, or you can just use a tin can, but making sure you've got the scapula stable. And also, once you're up into weight bearing, make sure you've got your core working. There's no point letting all that sag, because everything's then got to overwork to stabilise at the shoulders. Get your core working, shoulders stable, nice position, so everything's working properly. So how do we progress from that? We can then start adding weights, and just doing some weights into this position. We can start adding a step up, so we're gaining a bit of stability of the glutes. So we're adding a step up, and we're then using our scapular core muscles. We can do that in an overhead position. We can go into a lunge, keeping everything stable, going into a lunge position. So start being more active, and you can just have a little play around with where you're weak in these things. It's not, you know, it's not exclusive. There are hundreds and hundreds of exercises out there, but the key for me is just understanding a little bit that you need to have those shoulders stable, you need to have the scapular retractors working as a base first, and then you need to strengthen up your rotator cuff. So hope that helps, P. Take care, bye.